I served her friends warm cinnamon coffee and stood there while she laughed. "She's just an old woman," she said. "Bad food, bad everything." The room laughed with her, and I kept smiling. 2 hours later, a moving truck rolled up to my driveway. That's when she realized this old woman still owned the house. Before I tell you how that truck ended up in my driveway, I'd be grateful if you'd subscribe and tell me where you're listening from. Every story I share carries a piece of my life, and your support means more than you know. I've always woken up before the sun, not because I have to, just because old habits don't loosen their grip. The house is gentler at that hour. Soft grey light through the curtains, the refrigerator humming like it always has. The floor cool beneath my feet. I wrap my cardigan tight. My knees protest a little. I tell them we're still needed. Coffee first, 2 scoops, a pinch of cinnamon. Some things your hands remember, even when your heart is tired. This house wasn't inherited, it was earned. My late husband, Robert, used to say, "Brick by brick, Maggie. No one gives you a foundation. You build it." We built it. He worked double shifts at the auto shop, came home smelling like oil and steel. I stitched hems for neighbours at the kitchen table, thread between my fingers long past midnight. Sometimes I pricked my skin, a drop of red on white cotton. I'd wash it out carefully before returning the dress. We saved for 12 years. 12 years of coins in a coffee tin, of saying no to vacations, no to new furniture, no to everything that glittered. And then one spring morning, we signed the deed. Robert lifted me off the ground in the front yard, spun me around like we'd won the world. In a way, we had. We raised our son, Michael, inside these walls. He took his first steps on this hardwood floor. He carved his initials into the backyard fence when he was 8. I never sanded them away. Robert built the bookshelf in the study himself. Solid, oak, heavy, honest. He said real wood doesn't bend easy. I believed that about the shelves, and about us. When Robert passed, the house changed. The rooms didn't shrink, but they echoed. Silence can be loud when you've shared a life. Michael began visiting more often. He brought groceries, fixed light bulbs, tried to sound strong for both of us. Then, one evening, he brought Tiffany, his wife of 2 years. She had perfect hair, perfect nails, perfect smile. "Mrs. Lawson," she said sweetly, "I hope we're not intruding." I told her to call me Margaret. She never did. A few months later, they asked to move in. "Just temporarily, Mum," Michael said. "We'll save faster this way." Temporary sounds harmless. Like rain that passes, I said yes. At first it felt comforting. Laughter in the hallway again, shoes by the door, voices drifting from the kitchen. I cooked more. Roasted chicken, fresh bread, the kind of meals that stretch across generations. Michael would smile at the first bite. For a second, I'd see my little boy again. That was enough for me, or so I told myself. Then the small changes began. The floral curtains I'd sewn 20 years ago, replaced with grey panels. Robert's framed shop photo moved quietly into my bedroom. The oak bookshelf? Outdated, Tiffany said. She replaced it with something white and glossy. I nodded, said it looked modern. The rose bushes Robert planted were dug up, replaced with artificial turf. "It's easier to maintain," Tiffany explained. Easier for who? I wondered. But I swallowed the question. Peace felt fragile, and I didn't want to be the one who cracked it. Michael worked long hours. Tiffany stayed home after quitting her job. "I need to find myself," she said once. I didn't know she meant in my closet. Half my wardrobe shifted behind her dresses. Still, I said nothing. On Sundays, I made pancakes, golden edges, soft center, the way Robert liked them. Some mornings, I'd stand at the sink afterward, look out at the yard, listen to Tiffany on the phone upstairs. I began folding myself smaller. Inside rooms I once filled completely. At night, I'd sit in Robert's old chair, touch the pearl necklace he gave me on our 35th anniversary. For the woman who built this home with me, he had said. I'd close my eyes and whisper, I'm trying, Robert. I'm keeping the peace. And for a while, it almost felt normal, almost steady. But peace, built on silence, isn't peace at all. I didn't see it yet. I didn't understand what was quietly shifting beneath my feet. I thought love would protect me. I thought family meant permanence. I didn't know it then, but that silence was the last real peace I'd feel for a long time. But that peace was about to end. It happened on a Tuesday morning. Clear sky, soft breeze, nothing dramatic. That's the strange part. I'd been up since 5. Pancake batter resting in the bowl. Bacon crisping slowly in the oven. Fresh berries rinsed and drying on a towel. Tiffany mentioned the night before, my friends are coming for brunch. Something nice, okay? Not please, not thank you, just something nice. I wore my pale blue dress. The one Robert once said made me look like Sunday morning. I even put on lipstick, a small act of dignity. The table looked beautiful. Wicker basket, real plates, cloth napkins pressed flat. I still believed effort mattered. 4 women arrived around 9. Athletic wear, designer sunglasses, perfume that filled the hallway before their voices did. They complimented the house. Well, parts of it. Oh, it's charming, one of them said. Charming. Like it was quaint, temporary, replaceable. I served coffee first. Hands steady, smile gentle. They talked about yoga retreats, kitchen remodels, starter homes and investment properties. Then Tiffany laughed, sharp, sudden. Honestly, she said, leaning back in her chair. She's sweet, but she can't cook to save her life. The room paused, just for a second. Then they laughed. That old woman can't cook. That's what she said next. I was standing at the sink, back turned. The words didn't hit all at once. They sank slowly, like a stone dropped into deep water. I didn't drop the plate, didn't gasp, didn't turn around. One of her friends added, well, at least she tries. More laughter. Tiffany shrugged. I don't know how we put up with it. We. I dried my hands carefully, folded the towel once, then twice, walked back into the dining room. They looked at me, all 4 of them. I smiled. The kind you wear when you've already absorbed the blow? More coffee? I asked. Tiffany didn't hesitate. Yes, please. I poured it slowly. No shaking, no spill. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part came 10 minutes later. They shifted the conversation to property values. This area must be worth a fortune now, one of them said. Tiffany smiled knowingly. Oh, trust me, we know. We. Another friend leaned forward. Are you renovating or selling? Tiffany lowered her voice slightly, but not enough. We're exploring options for relocating her. There are some really nice senior communities nearby. Relocating her. My ears rang. She'll be happier with people her own age, Tiffany continued. And then we can finally make this place ours. Ours. I felt something inside me settle. Not explode. Settle. I didn't feel anger. I felt finished. Finished explaining myself. Finished earning my place in my own home. I collected the empty plates quietly. One by one, carried them to the kitchen. Set them down gently. I didn't slam a cabinet. Didn't storm out. I walked to my bedroom. Closed the door softly behind me. Sat on the edge of the bed. Outside, I could still hear them laughing. Relocating her. Like I was a seasonal decoration. I opened my nightstand drawer. Inside lay the original deed. My name. Only my name. I let the paper rest against my palms. Felt its weight. After a few minutes, there was a knock. Tiffany. Everything okay? She asked, voice sugar-sweet. Yes, I replied evenly. Just resting. She didn't step inside. She never did. When her footsteps faded down the hallway, I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I didn't even sigh. I just sat there, very still. That's when I understood something clearly. Silence had protected them, not me. That's when I knew I would not stay silent. I didn't raise my voice, but something inside me went very, very quiet. That afternoon stretched longer than it should have. The house felt unfamiliar. Same walls, same light, different air. I stayed in my bedroom for a while, door closed, hands resting in my lap. Downstairs, I could hear the soft clink of dishes, the faint hum of Tiffany's voice on the phone. Life continued, as if nothing had shifted. I didn't cry immediately. Instead, I stood up and adjusted the bedspread, smoothed a wrinkle that didn't matter, straightened a pillow that was already straight. Grief doesn't always look like tears. Sometimes it looks like tidying. When the house finally quieted, I walked downstairs slowly. The brunch plates were stacked unevenly. A smear of syrup hardened on the counter. I wiped it clean, took my time. On the bookshelf, the white, glossy one, something was missing. Robert's brass compass. It used to sit in the corner. His father gave it to him when he was 16. Every man needs direction, his father had said. I checked the drawers, the sideboard, even the kitchen junk drawer, gone. I didn't accuse anyone, not yet. That night, sleep wouldn't come. The ceiling fan ticked softly. Michael and Tiffany laughed faintly in their room. I lay on my side, watched the hallway light under my door. I whispered Michael's name once, just to hear it, not in anger, in disbelief. I remembered when he was 7. He scraped his knee on the driveway. He ran to me, sobbing. I held him close, told him he was safe. I had believed that safety worked both ways. Some nights, I caught myself whispering their names, not in anger, but in disbelief. Where had that boy gone? The next morning, I woke before sunrise again, made coffee, sat at the kitchen table alone. The chair across from me felt heavier than usual. Tiffany came down eventually, hair tied loosely, phone in hand. "Morning," she said. "Morning," I replied. She opened the refrigerator, took out almond milk. "Oh," she added casually. "I've been researching assisted living options, just in case." Just in case, she said it lightly, like she was discussing paint colors. I stirred my coffee slowly, watched the cream swirl. "I see," I said. She mistook my calm for agreement. That's the danger of long silence. People start assuming you agree. Later that week, I found more. An envelope tucked in the study drawer. Property valuation reports. Estimated market value, $920,000. My breath caught. Beneath it, a glossy brochure. Luxury condos downtown. Floor-to-ceiling windows. A sticky note in Tiffany's handwriting. After sale, invest $500K. Easy. After sale, I sat down in Robert's old chair, held the paper in both hands. I didn't feel rage. I felt clarity. This wasn't carelessness. It was calculation. I searched the filing cabinet next. Found my estate documents. There it was. Power of attorney. Signed by Michael. "Just for taxes, Mom," he'd said months earlier. I had trusted him. That trust felt different now. Fragile. Misplaced. That evening, I folded the documents carefully, returned them exactly where I found them. Then I went upstairs, sat at my small writing desk, opened a notepad. My handwriting trembled at first, then steadied. I began listing dates, comments, missing items, the compass, the brochure, the phrase relocating her. Every detail mattered. I didn't plan revenge in anger. I planned protection in clarity. The rain began outside, sometime after midnight, soft against the window. I stayed awake listening to it. If you're still listening, thank you. Stories like this remind me patience isn't weakness, it's quiet strength. I wasn't going to shout. I wasn't going to beg for kindness. I was going to understand everything, piece by piece. Because when you've built something brick by brick, you don't let it be taken in a single careless afternoon. That night, something shifted inside me. I stopped feeling wounded. I started feeling deliberate. And once clarity arrives, it doesn't leave quietly. The next morning, I didn't change my routine. I made oatmeal, set out 3 bowls, asked Michael about work like I always did. He talked about a new client, deadlines, meetings. He never noticed how carefully I was listening. Normal can be powerful. Normal keeps suspicion asleep. On Thursday, I took a taxi downtown. Beige coat, low heels, documents tucked neatly into my handbag. The county records office smelled like paper and dust. "I'd like a certified copy of my property deed," I said. The clerk didn't look up much, just stamped and slid the document forward. Margaret Elaine Lawson, sole owner. I traced my name slowly. It steadied me. From there, I went to see Mr. Wallace Grant. He'd handled Robert's will years ago. He had aged. So had I. "Margaret," he said gently, "what's brought you here?" I didn't dramatize it. I described the brunch, the laughter, the assisted living comment, the brochure, the power of attorney. He listened without interruption. When I finished, he folded his hands. "Bring me everything," he said quietly. So I did. Photos of the sticky note, copies of valuation reports, my copy of the estate file. I had started taking pictures on my phone days earlier, just in case. He reviewed each page carefully. "This power of attorney can be revoked," he said, "if it was signed without full understanding or used improperly." Was it used improperly? I asked. He met my eyes. "Intent matters, and so does timing." Timing. I felt calm hearing that word. "Margaret," he asked softly, "what outcome do you want?" I thought before answering. Not revenge, not humiliation. "I want my home back," I said, "and I want boundaries that are clear." He nodded once. No theatrics, no threats, just paperwork. We drafted revocation documents, ownership reaffirmation, legal notice prepared if needed. I didn't feel powerful. I felt prepared. That phrase, "my daughter-in-law mocked my cooking, so I took back my house without raising my voice," was no longer a wound. It was a plan. "Mr. Grant asked, "private resolution or formal service?" I remembered the laughter, relocating her. "I want it handled properly," I said. And witnessed. He understood. Back home, I remained unchanged on the surface. I folded laundry, watered the new potted plants Tiffany preferred, asked Michael if he needed more coffee. But I listened carefully now. Tiffany spoke more boldly when she thought I wasn't paying attention. "We'll need to transition her soon," she told someone on the phone. "Transition her." I wrote the date down in my notebook. Michael mentioned refinancing options that week. Casual, optimistic. I smiled politely. The irony almost made me laugh. On Wednesday evening, I approached Tiffany gently. "Would your friends like to come again this weekend?" I asked. She looked surprised. "For brunch?" "Yes," I said calmly. "I'd like another chance." Her eyes studied my face. Then she smiled. "Saturday at 9. Perfect." That night, I called Mr. Grant. "Saturday," I said. 11:15. He paused only briefly. "It will be handled. A process server. Official documentation. An officer present only to ensure order. Legal, clean, quiet." On Friday evening, I polished the silver that remained. Pressed my blue dress again. I stood in the hallway later that night. Looked at the family photos that still hung. "I'm not angry, Robert," I whispered. "I'm finished shrinking." Saturday morning arrived softly. Sunlight filtered through the blinds. I whisked batter slowly, listened to the clock tick. Tiffany came downstairs around 8:30. "You're really doing this?" she asked. "Yes," I replied. And this time, I held her gaze. Not pleading, not defensive, steady. The house felt balanced again. Not because anything had happened yet, but because I knew what would. The stage was set. All I had to do was wait. They had no idea that silence can build walls stronger than words. The doorbell rang at 9:02, right on time. 4 women stepped inside. Bright smiles. Sunglasses pushed up into their hair. Perfume that lingered long after they passed. I welcomed them warmly. "Good morning," I said. Coats on the rack. Coffee already poured. The table looked beautiful. Golden pancakes stacked high. Strawberries glistening. Warm syrup catching the light. For a moment, it almost felt pleasant. They tasted the food. "Oh, wow, Margaret," one of them said. "These are wonderful." I inclined my head slightly. "Thank you." Tiffany laughed lightly. Well, she finally got it right. A few polite chuckles. I didn't react. I glanced at the clock. 10:47. Time has a rhythm. You just have to respect it. Conversation drifted toward real estate again. "Property values here must be soaring," one friend said. Tiffany smiled knowingly. "Oh, we're aware. We." She leaned forward. "Once the house is ours, we're thinking of opening up the kitchen." I let the words settle in the air. No correction. Not yet. At 11:15 exactly, a white truck eased up to the curb. Behind it, a dark sedan. I saw it through the kitchen window. My pulse didn't race. It steadied. The doorbell rang. Clear. Firm. Tiffany frowned. "Who's that?" "I'll get it," I said gently. I opened the door. "Mr." Wallace Grant stood there, calm as ever, briefcase in hand. Beside him, a uniformed officer, professional, quiet. "Good morning, Margaret, Mr." Grant said. "Good morning, Wallace. Please come in." Their shoes echoed on the hardwood floor. The dining room fell silent. Tiffany stood slowly. "What is this?" Mr. Grant set his briefcase down carefully. "Mrs. Harper," he began evenly, "this is formal notice that the power of attorney signed by Michael Lawson has been revoked." The room seemed to tighten. "And further notice," he continued, "that this property remains solely owned by Margaret Lawson." He placed the documents on the table. Right beside the syrup pitcher, no raised voices, just paper meeting wood. One of Tiffany's friends shifted uncomfortably. Another reached for her purse. "Tiffany," she whispered. Tiffany's face flushed. "Mrs. Lawson, what are you doing?" I stepped forward. "This is my home," I said calmly. "It always has been." "You're embarrassing me," she snapped. "No," I replied softly. "You embarrassed yourself." The officer remained still, a silent reminder of formality. "Mr." Grant added, "You and Mr. Lawson will have 72 hours to vacate if residency is asserted without ownership." Clear. Final. The women gathered their bags quickly. One offered me a small nod as she passed. Within seconds, the front door closed behind them. The house felt larger, quieter. Tiffany stared at the papers. "You planned this?" "Yes," I said. "Why?" I held her gaze. "Because you spoke about relocating me, as if I were temporary." Her lips parted. No words came. Michael arrived home 20 minutes later. He stepped into tension thick as fog. "Mom?" His eyes moved from Tiffany to the officer to Mr. Grant. "What's happening?" I handed him the document. He read it once, then again. Color drained from his face. "Tiffany?" he asked quietly. She looked away. The silence between them was louder than shouting. "You said it was just paperwork," I said gently. His shoulders slumped. "I didn't know," he whispered. I believed him. That hurt more than anger would have. He signed the revocation immediately. Hands trembling, Tiffany's voice cracked. I never meant for it to go this far. You meant comfort, I said softly. At my expense. No yelling, no chaos, just clarity. Michael looked at me. I'm sorry, Mom. I nodded once. 72 hours, Mr. Grant repeated. The officer stepped back toward the door. Formalities concluded. Tiffany left the room first. Michael followed. The packing began that afternoon. Boxes folded, drawers emptied, footsteps softer than usual. I stayed in the kitchen, wiping the counter, rearranging the fruit bowl, not triumphant, just steady. By sunset, the house felt different. Still the same walls, same windows, but balanced. Not because someone lost, but because truth had been placed back where it belonged. And in that silence, I finally felt free. Sometimes the loudest moment in life is when you choose not to shout at all. The house is quiet again. Not the hollow kind of quiet, not the lonely kind that echoes at night. This is a settled quiet, the kind that feels earned. In the mornings, I sit by the kitchen window with my coffee. Real cream, 2 sugars, no apologies. The sunlight moves slowly across the floorboards. Robert installed himself. I watch the light reach the old oak bookshelf, the real one. Michael helped me bring it back from the garage. He comes on Sundays now, alone. He doesn't rush. He listens when I speak. Sometimes he sits longer than he needs to. Healing doesn't arrive with speeches. It shows up in small repairs, a fixed hinge, a returned compass. Yes, the brass compass came back. Michael found it in a drawer. He placed it in my hands without explanation. Some apologies don't need paragraphs. Tiffany moved downtown. I heard she sold a few designer things. Life recalculates when it has to. I don't carry bitterness. Bitterness is heavy, and at my age, I only carry what matters. Sometimes I think about that brunch. The laughter, the word relocating. It no longer stings, it instructs. The day my daughter-in-law mocked my cooking was the day I decided I would never shrink again. My daughter-in-law mocked my cooking, so I took back my house without raising my voice. Not because I needed revenge, because I needed alignment. There's a difference. I didn't win something, I restored something. My name on the deed, my place at the table, my spine. Respect doesn't disappear overnight. It erodes quietly. And it returns the same way, quietly. I sleep well now. No whispers in the hallway, no second guessing. Just steady breathing and open windows. In the evenings, I sit in Robert's chair, the oak still firm beneath my hand. Real wood doesn't bend easily. Neither do I. Maybe justice isn't loud. Maybe it isn't dramatic. Maybe it's simply this sitting in your own home without feeling like a guest. That's enough for me. Respect, once lost, can be reclaimed if you wait for the right moment. If you were in my place, would you have spoken sooner or waited like I did? Tell me in the comments. And if this story stayed with you, I'd be honored if you stayed too.